So it's a huge issue. Either being deplatformed because you've maybe added a phone number in a Google My Business update that they don't like, or maybe you've used the wrong word in a Facebook ad. It can literally be one word that they don't like, and you've tried 5 or 6 different times to edit the ad, can't work out that it's one particular word. And of course, they won't tell you which word it is, but get too many strikes and you're out. And all of a sudden, your number one lead generation tool, be it Google My Business, be it Facebook ads, or otherwise, gone. And unless you have some serious backups in place, it's a problem. Sometimes you can recover, sometimes no.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I'm seeing as well. A matter of fact, even just on my personal timeline today, somebody who's very well known in the movie industry got deplatformed because they weren't using the platform right. Hopefully I can, help them out if they reach. But for the most part, to your point, there's a very specific way and system. So I wanted to go a little bit more into that because me and you both know the technical side. How important is it to you? And again, this is your response. How important is it to you specifically how mindset plays into actual performance, even when it comes to whether it's media buying, whether it comes to writing, whether it comes to marketing, advertising in general?
Well, mindset is everything, absolutely everything. It's something that I've learned probably over the last, 5 years, but absolutely everything. And it's part of the overall game. It's a piece of the puzzle and is a big piece, and it sets you up for everything else.
Yeah, definitely appreciate that. And I'm going to go a little bit more into detail exactly what part of mindset, because I know it's all encompassing, right? So a few weeks back, we did live in the group about the wheel of life, right? Some people may not be familiar with that tool, but I practically use that tool every single time I'm actually helping our clients out because if you don't know where you're going, if you don't know the trajectory of your personal and professional life, if you don't know the trajectory of your business, then over time, what happens is you're building a business that you may hate. You may be putting the bricks up on the wrong side of the wall when it should go on this side of the wall, or from a building viewpoint, you're having troubles really understanding like your business in my mind, in my opinion, should be like your North Star towards your vision, your dreams, your legacy, right? So, and some people don't think that way, and that's okay. They may be like the short-term thinkers where they just want the quick buck or they're chasing after a trend. But the players who we're dealing with, they really need to have solid foundations in place. So can you speak a little bit more to that?
Absolutely. I've been there. I'll put my hand up. It's very easy, particularly in small to medium business, that it takes over. So you can actually find, instead of it steering you towards your dream and being the vehicle that provides the resources that you need to reach your dream, it destroys the dream. It can easily take over your life. It can ruin relationships, because it's all encompassing. It's taking up way too much of your time, energy as well. That when your heart and soul is in it, it can be tough.
Yeah, and now hopefully I'm also answering the question like what is New Room Collective because I've gotten that a lot as well. It's an all encompassing roadmap for people for personal and professional growth from a very high level. But people are going to come into the room for different reasons, and in most cases, I just tend to attract a lot of people who want client acquisition, or they want to understand philosophy, or they want writing styles, and even religion and politics, which at first I used to be very hesitant on, but I had to really learn how to rework my own mindset around it as well. Because what I'm finding, especially with the big players, is people want to attract different audiences and they're going to be pulling up from different groups, right? So if we don't take those considerations into play, like I gave the example even about a few hours back, where one of the gentlemen's offers, who I know as an example, he hated the school system. It was real political. He didn't like the way it was moving. So he started a Montessori school, and it's happening to just be setting on fire. Now, while some people are uncomfortable with these subjects, that's the reasons why New Room Collective is there in the first place, because we created an inflammatory safe point for people to come in and just talk about whatever, but the only requirements are to become critical thinkers, not critical people. Because, as an example, with that one in particular, that affects his offer. It affects the way he speaks. He has to write his copy a certain way. He has to push the buttons when it comes to media buying a certain way. So it's a whole lot of elements. Now, if you get too political in on Facebook and a few other platforms, of course they have you check a box to say for political reasons, right? But for the or even like real estate as an example, if you're like, it has to be non-discriminatory. But for the most part, you want to have your authentic voice resonating out there within reason, but also making sure that you're targeting the right audience. Did I say anything that you're not in alignment with, and if so, what?
No, absolutely. And I think it amplifies it that if you're going after the right people, that will grow. Or unfortunately, you can also, as you mentioned, it can go the other way and it can be attracting the wrong people.
Yeah, 100%. And that even translates to not just our group, it translates to actual brick and mortar businesses as well, where I've seen the wrong people get attracted to the business, and the business owner is just like, I don't want these type of people. It's like, well, I wasn't your writer at the time. I wasn't your expert, but I to go a little bit more into detail as far as what your interpretation of mindset is, especially in relations to advertising and marketing, because you've been doing it for a long time, up until the point where I can say it worldwide that you have the I Love Marketing, website down there in Australia. You were so excited when you got that. So tell me about it.
I do indeed. Yeah, look, I think it's just understanding that obviously one of the favorite words, limitless, that we can do it. Whether you're 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or 60, it's never too late. It's, we are standing on the shoulders of people that have done it. There's people that have shared, their stories. You can get their books for free in a public library. It's there. There's really no excuses in, a developed country like the US or Europe or Australia to not be able to get the tools and resources that you need. And I think what really proved to me that mindset is everything is when I see businesses in, say, less developed nations, they're being run with one person and a smartphone. And that's a smartphone they worked for. And if they can do it, then we have no excuse. It's probably, I preach to myself every day when I go, I've got no excuse. I've got every tool, every app. I have every book that I could possibly need within reach. I can either buy it or I can borrow it. There is no excuse. It is the only thing is mindset. Um, Obviously, if people aren't buying from us, they're buying from someone else. So obviously the markets are there. Even in a bad economy, there's still people making money. So yeah, the only possible explanation is mindset. Those that go out and actually do it. The story of Lamborghini is a I'm sure you could probably retell the story better than I could, but yeah, what else is there apart from with a driven mindset, you can achieve.
Wow. I love how you just said that, because it's true. Because even you've watched my growth from being offline to being online, doing all of this crazy stuff offline. And the thing about it is, it's this gap that everybody has whenever you're trying to pivot or grow or scale or expand. Everybody goes through it. It doesn't matter like where you're starting. The question is, can you hold that space in between long enough so when you get to the other side, you know for a fact that you're there. And this lasts for years, as you know a lot about my personal life, with wifey getting sick and nearly dying. And now she's a lot better. I had her last procedure last week. So these things do affect my mindset, because was I really in the game as hard as I could have been? No. Could I have possibly done a little bit more? No, because certain things are just conditions and we have to work through those conditions. But when you're working to get the variables out of your personal and professional life, that's what we're doing over at New Room. That's the reasons why I was telling you earlier from a high level, as far as on the personal professional side, they are infused together because if I would have stayed out there and wrote crappy copy as an example, I might have gotten deplatformed. If I was talking about something that's totally irrelevant or meaningless, or some of my other friends online, same thing, they're getting deplatformed because they've been warned so many times for spam as an example. If I'm being too inflammatory with my words. So all of these levels of discernment are necessary before people actually write one word. And that's what I've been really working to get people to understand over the last 4 years. And as we're ramping up this group again, that's admittedly one of the reasons why I kind of let it just go, was because there were the wrong type of people in there who would use the tools not for good. And as you know, I stand for really ethical and honest, transparent writing and marketing, because it is what it is. There's enough market out here, but there's a difference between somebody who's a hack versus somebody who's a real professional. So now I'm starting to see the market, the pendulum swing from people who might have been inexperienced and those fake it until you make it people versus the real true experts. And I wanted you to definitely speak to that as well, what you're seeing out there in the marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. I admire the, get out there and give it a go. What I will be very clear that I don't admire is people that aren't necessarily willing to learn and do what they need to do before they're given the keys to someone's kingdom. Prime example is a Google Ads account that I am aware of. A very new green manager didn't want to do the hard yards by learning through experience and working under someone that knew what they were doing. They just wanted the money as a freelancer to go out there and do it themselves and get top dollar straight out of the bat instead of doing their time as a student. What ended up happening was the account massively overspent because they weren't checking it and they didn't know how to set the rules in place to flag and review overspends. They were hoping that Google would give them a refund, which is hilarious because no. And by the way, we're talking, tens of thousands of dollars of overspend. Clearly it was an account that was too big for them to manage and they were just simply too new and inexperienced. And that came at a huge cost. And that's not fair on the client. So I respect going out there and learning and giving it a go, but at the same time, you have to be willing to do what it takes to learn. And if that does mean working, for an agency for a time or managing a small account for free for someone or working for a charitable organization and devoting your time for them for some time, but learning and not overselling and committing to something that cannot be delivered. That's not that's not all right.
Yeah, 100%. I really do appreciate you bringing that up because that's the other reasons why that group was created, because it's an infusion. Because I think I was telling you this back in 2022 when I think I was working with Billy. The problem that I saw was that you have these markets coming together since the pandemic where you have people who just don't care about advertising and marketing. They just want to stay the expert in what they do, right? And then you have people who obviously have to fill the industry because this is an emerging industry, because totally overall, it's still been less than 25 years for the online market, which is still relatively simple. But you've also taken these best practices, like you have the OGs like Dan S. Kennedy, who was an offline marketer, offline direct response marketer specifically, and these tactics were being used online. And as you know, a tactic known is a tactic blown. But what about these solid principles? And that's what's missing in the marketplace these days, which is the reasons why I'm saying this is Internet 2.0, is because you have now two people online. You have the people who were not, they were kind of aware of being online, but because of the pandemic, they were forced to get on. And then you had this other market that was already like behind the scenes, like the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz. Like they were the man behind the curtain. And all of a sudden it's just like, all these people, where they come from? And then everything that they were doing before just didn't work, right? So then they had to either evolve or they had to go away. And it's interesting to see this dynamic now where the market has completely gotten sophisticated around the world. And now people are really looking for like a real, true vetted expert to not either just work with, but maybe to coach and consult with. So I wanted to get your viewpoint on what you're seeing in the marketplace as well, because you tend to be in a lot of those rooms as well where things are trending. So what are you seeing that can add to that, or am I a little off?
No, no, that's right on. That's a very good assessment of what I'm seeing as well. It's going to be an interesting couple of years ahead.
Well, let me predict the future. You know I'm good for that. What I am really seeing, and this is sad but true, is that these social media platforms are no longer waiting for people to learn how to play the game. They're all about keeping eyeballs on the platform. They're all about making sure that engagement is high quality. And they're not, just like you said before, this freelancer was on too much account, right? So as a result of that, the account wind up just getting like, I'm gonna say obliterated because I don't know the complete situation, right? But we have to come out the gate pretty strong in order for us to get reach. Because even as an example with me, and I'm going to post this in a group probably after we're done, like I intentionally stopped posting for a reason because I didn't want to just put stuff out there that didn't make any sense in the context of my audience, right? But I hadn't even made like 3 or 4 posts, and already I got something from Facebook saying, "Hey, we're going to increase your distribution." And I'm like, I know you are because I've got high quality content that's being rolled out. So of course you're going to do that, right? But my point is, how many other people get those kinds of messages directly from the platform to say, "Hey, you're doing well. We're going to expand you." And I noticed that first when I switched my account from personal to professional. As soon as I switch my account from personal to professional, what people don't realize is that Facebook will actually give you tools and guide you and coach you and put you on challenges. And if you start doing that stuff for starters, you're going to still grow and learn, like you Mitch talked about. You're being a good student. So by the time you play it that way, you're really going to be getting some solid principles in place. Because quite frankly, that's all I did. I just looked at it. Okay, you want me to do this? I boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, I hit that wicket, go from level 1 to level 2. And that's the exact same way it is on Instagram. Now, what people don't realize about Google is that it's a search engine. So you've got search engine marketing and search engine optimization, which are two completely different beasts. But it goes back down to the power of words, because you have to be able to in order to really do well on those platforms, you have to know your words. Well, you've got words on Facebook as well. So you have to be able to really not only get the skills, but you also have to get the technical side with the words and then put them together. And that was the other purpose of New Room in the first place. That's why we attracted all those high level players. But what was missing though was the, hey, what happens next? Because I didn't know what was going on either. I just, I was traveling for 20 years. I had no clue. I'm like, I don't know this market. It's a little different for me. But overall, what I'm seeing now is that educators like you and me and facilitators like you and me are now going to be high value on this platform. That's what I see in the future. Thoughts?
Very true. Very true. I think it's very hard for the average person to know all of the ins and outs of the platforms. And that's why being guided by someone that does is just so valuable. And also why you need the skills to then, if you're going to put your hand up to manage these accounts, why that experience and being a student is important because, yeah, sometimes without that experience, you'll never know some of the little intricacies, like what you pointed out.
Yeah.
Huge important.
No, I appreciate that. And definitely share with the world your passion. Why are you so passionate about marketing? It's so amazing to just watch you in motion and hear you. And every time we make a shift, like even on like a Google Tag Manager, you're like, oh yeah, you get fired up. What is it that you see that inspires you to continue to move in this direction?
I think it's just the fact that it is going back to the heart of marketing, which is connecting that customer with, the service or product. It's making that connection between the business and the client. I think it can be easier than what most people sometimes feel. And I'm sad when people are missing out on some of the benefits of just a few easy changes, or as you said, some tagging or some ads that could all, could grow their business by, 30%. It's great to see when that's finally done and done quite, easily, just the difference that can make. And people don't realize that even today, people don't realize there's free product ads on Google Ads. You can technically advertise your products for free. There are free listings. A lot of people don't know that.
And here you are just dropping the game.